Subsequent to the Zoom interview, Harry Stevenson sent me an email and he said, when talking yesterday about memorable performances, I forgot to mention my most striking memory of the City of Glasgow Police Pipe Band. You may have been in the band at the time. Hannah Park and Shotts, the European Championships on the first Saturday in September, sometime in the mid-60s. Angus MacDonald was a PM and I think George White the pipe sergeant. It was a horrible day, and when the police band came on to play, the heavens really opened. It was torrential rain and the band was played right through it. And if I can remember rightly, the set was Donald Cameron, Cameronian rant, Pretty Marion. The sound was really good, it held all the way, and the piping was first class throughout, and the band won. I've always remembered this performance. The conditions were horrific to play in. Perhaps you may be able to add to this as a postscript to yesterday's presentation. So, folks, one of the beauties of being the editor, as well as other things in Pipers'Persuasion, is that I can make up my own rules, and I'm just adding this postscript, as Harry calls it, onto the back end of his clip about memorable performances of other bands. I must say I was rather miffed at the time that Police never got a wee mention in amongst these other classics that he was talking about at the time, but hey ho. Anyway, the actual story about that September, I'll just go through it here. Set of Glasgow Police Pipe Band, yes. Hannah Park and Shotts, European Championships, first Saturday in September, sometime in the mid-60s. It was, I was either 65 or 66, but I fancy really it was 66 because I settled in the band for about 2 years. I was a probationary constable, and that period was between 65 and, 65 and 66 really, stretching into the spring of 67 before I was fully confirmed as a police officer, and I joined the pipe band as distinct from being on normal duties and being allowed time off to play with the police pipe band. During that period, indeed, Angus MacDonald was a pipe major, and a very, very good pipe major with great sound, and he managed the band very well, and they get terrific performances, and we were getting consistent first prizes every other week. Muirhead sneaked in, and I would say that, wouldn't I? But they won the World Championships 65, 66, 67, and we were pipped in 66 by a tenth of a point under Angus MacDonald, but I digress here. Angus MacDonald was a pipe major. It wasn't George White, the pipe sergeant, it was Ronnie Laurie. Ian McClellan was in the front rank along with Angus McClellan and others. As to the day itself, Shotts, the first Saturday or second Saturday the first Saturday in September, high up in Scotland, Forth Clyde Valley, always raining, and I remember playing there one year with the Paisley British Legion. It was actually snowing, so bad weather and Shotts always came together. And this particular day, it was torrential rain all afternoon. And we arrived in the band bus, which was a Sugarly affair, hired from a small firm in Barrhead. I could write a book about that bus, but there you go. Anyway, arrived there, we sat in the band bus and pondered about the weather, and we were last on. So we didn't go out the bus, we merely peered through the rain-strewn windows. the weather, the wind. It was just stoating off the streets, as I say. And first grade bands were going away out there, and would you believe it, practicing in the rain, also trying to set up chanters in the rain, blowing for God knows how long in the rain. And of course, they all went on, and in a normal day, crash and burn, but no, they just crash and get drowned. And so Angus MacDonald, undeterred by others, he turned round and said, "We are hashish," because that was his nickname, because they always started a wee story with hashish. Hashish, we are not practising out there today. We are not blowing the pipes out there today. Drums will not be beat out there today. We will sit in the bus. So, okay, so what's the next part of the story? Right, get your pipes out one at a time and tune up your drones. So this got near the time for it off, and we quickly took the pipes out, played maybe 2 or 3 parts at 6/8 each as individuals, tuned up our own drones, and when that was all done, there would be about 12, 13 of us pipers on the bus. And then the steward come along, right, you're on next. Okay, great. We filed off the bus, and I remember fine that on the day in question, with the full big heavy canvas capes on, we kept them on. None of this nonsense of playing without jackets in the rain and all that stuff you see nowadays. The full number 1 kit, belts, braces, hairy sporns, white spats, big tunics, capes, all hidden by this heavy cape. And of course we had the feather bonnet, and we tucked the tails of the feather bonnet inside the feather bonnet so they wouldn't lash us in the face with the wind and the rain. And we marched onto the field. The field was sodden, but we marched on, and we kept the pipes downwards underneath the cape, the spread of the cape. We did not produce the pipes until ordered to do so. Pipes up, straight up onto the shoulder, none of this nonsense about hanging about. By the right, quick march, and played. Now, the set, I don't know if it was Donald Cameron, might have been. It certainly wasn't Cameronian rant. I never played Cameronian rant in a band in my life, too difficult. Might have been Bogan Logan, I think, Athol Cummers. Pretty Marion, yeah, pretty well, that could be the tune. It was a favourite with us at that time. Played right through, and not a blip or anything. It was lashing the rain, the pipes held, and they were absolutely brilliant sound. It was like a summer's day. Everybody held their nerve, no hands slipped in the chanter, they weren't wet yet. And by the time we finished Pretty Marion, it was just time enough to chuck it, because that's when the pipes would really start to suffer. Pipes down, marched off. We got away with it with dry pipes, dry hands for the most part, until most of the way through the performance, and it was only a minute or so we had to suffer maybe wet hands or whatever, but the hands were warm, they weren't cold, and there was no chips or anything at all. And we marched off. The wind, it was mild by that time, but the rain was stoating off the turf about 3 or 4 inches. But we produced a great performance, and we won it. So it's simple as that. Postscript to that is bad weather. You accept that your sound's not going to be absolutely perfect in terms of drones, chanters matched up and all the rest of it. They had all been matched up the day before at band practice, and they were more or less there. And of course, Ronnie always had a look at the chanters and the bus journey and the road to the competition, as did Angus MacDonald. So we were pretty well set up by the time we arrived, and there was nothing untoward heard by anybody when individuals tuned up the drones. So we more or less knew what we were blowing, and times like that, you accept 80% performance and tone has been a good thing, because everybody else is getting drowned and they're only achieving 40-50% of their performance. So that's how you win competitions. So that's the story.